we will begin. Okay, welcome everyone to the City of West Miami regular City Commission virtual meeting. Today is Wednesday, September 16th. It is approximately 10:02 a.m. Madam Clerk, if you will please read the instructions into the record on how to participate via Zoom.
Yes, good morning. The City of West Miami Commission meetings is held virtually through Zoom, through the website at https://zoom.us/j/3255236059. To join with through the phone, you can dial 301-715-8592. When you connect, a machine will ask you for the meeting ID, then dial 325-523-6059, followed by a pound sign. Wait a few minutes until the host accepts and gives you access to the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Major Delgado, would you do me the honors of the invocation? Everyone please rise for the invocation, please.
Dear Lord, we would first like to thank you as individuals and as your disciples for all the blessings which you bestow upon us and our loved ones on a daily basis. We ask that you provide clarity and direction in our everyday lives so that we can make the right decisions as elected officials and department directors on behalf of our residents as we are their voice. Lord, please place your healing hands on the two LA County deputies who were gunned down by a coward and remain in the hospital. Please grant them a speedy recovery so that they may return home to their families and their lives. Lastly, we ask that you remove the hatred in the hearts of many during this very difficult time in our nation and replace it with love so that we can continue to coexist and help one another. We ask all of this in your holy name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Major Delgado, for those words. Jonathan Kelman, would you do me the honor of leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance, sir?
Pledge allegiance to the
flag of the United States of America and to the republic
for which it
stands, one nation,
under
under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Jonathan. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Item 3, roll call. Mayor Rhonda Rodriguez.
Present.
Vice Mayor Eric Diaz-Padrón.
He's present, Madam Clerk.
Yes. Commissioner Candida Blanca.
She's present, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Juan Blanes.
Present.
Present. And Commissioner Luciana Suarez, Madam Mayor, asked to be excused.
Yes, thank you. The manager did notify me of that. Okay, very good. Next item on the agenda, please.
Item 4, presentation of minutes for approval for September 2nd, 2020, regular commission virtual meeting.
I need a motion.
Motion.
Thank you. I have a motion from Commissioner Blanes, and I saw Commissioner Blanca second that motion, Madam Clerk.
Noted.
Thank you.
Are all in favor?
All in
Aye.
favor, say aye. Aye.
Thank you. And presentation of minutes for approval for September 8th, 2020, special commission virtual meeting.
I'm going to unmute Commissioner Blanca. Commissioner
Motion.
Blanca, did you motion that?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, she did.
Second.
I have a first and a second.
Thank you. Are all in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you.
Next item, Madam Clerk.
Item 5, public comments.
Has anyone registered or called in for public comments, Madam Clerk?
Not as of this moment. We have a few participants from the public, but no one has expressed intention to participate with the public comments. There are items on the agenda which are public hearings. Please let us know if you want to participate on any item of the agenda. And when you do participate, please state your name and address for the record.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. And for the public that I do see present, please raise your hand virtually so that myself or the clerk will see your hand as far as participating, so we can call upon you during the public hearing section. I'm gonna I do see a hand up now, so I'm gonna ask if that person has a comment concerning the public comment section. Daniel Padilla, I see, oh, he just lowered his hand. So.
No, it's still up. Hi, Mayor. Good morning.
Oh, hi. Okay, hi.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Daniel Padilla Ochoa. I am with Ocean Conservancy, a national nonprofit that works on ocean health and water quality issues. So thank you for giving the opportunity to speak today, Commission and Mayor. I wanted to give comment on the upcoming fertilizer ordinance that you guys will be discussing in a few minutes. And I wanted to really
Daniel,
point
if I could,
Yes.
if you would mind, we will be opening is that a public hearing, Madam Clerk?
Yes, Madam Mayor.
Yes, so if you will hold your comment until the public hearing on that item, that would be the appropriate time to speak on that, since that is an item on our agenda. That would be the time to speak on that item. Is it all right with you if you hold your comment until that time? And I'll call
do
upon
you
you
know
then?
roughly around time that will be presented?
I don't. It is second on the agenda. So I can't give you an exact time, but it is second on the agenda. It is
That
item
sounds
B.
good to me. Sounds good to me. Will do.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Thank you, Daniel. Okay, so I don't see any other hands up. Madam Clerk, next.
Excuse me, I'm not sure how to raise my hand. I was hoping to give a public comment as well.
Okay, is it on an agenda item? And
It is on an agenda item, but unfortunately I'm not available later. So if I could speak on it now, I would appreciate the opportunity, but if not, that's okay as well.
Well, it is proper protocol to speak. If it's an agenda item, the time to speak would be during the public hearing on that item. Is it the same? Which item is it that you wish to?
It would be on item B.
Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take, Madam Clerk, I'm going to take item B out of order, since I do have two residents who wish to speak, or I have two people from the public who wish to speak, and it sounds like their time is, they have some time constraints. So we're going to take item B first. So was that Rachel who was speaking? Rachel,
Yes, that's Rachel. Daniel's welcome to give his comment first, and I can go after him if that.
okay, but so when I'm going to take that one out of order. Let me just continue with this portion of the agenda, and I'll take item B first so that you all can speak. Okay, is that all right with you?
That, Mayor. Thank you so much.
No problem. Okay. If anyone else wants to speak on that item, I will take it first, Madam Clerk, if that works for you. Okay, so let's proceed with the, let me see, public comments were done. Report of the city manager. Why don't we do this, Madam Clerk? By a show of virtual hands, or if you want to just raise your hand and I can see you on the screen, is there anyone else who wants to speak on item B? Okay, I do see a couple. So let's do this, Madam Clerk, if it works for you, let's just go ahead and take item B now. Does that work for you, Madam Clerk? Okay, perfect. So Madam Manager, if we'll hold off on your report because you will be next. And Madam Clerk, if you can read item B into the record, and we will take that item now.
Madam Mayor, if I may,
Yes.
interrupt for a second. If you would also kindly consider the issue of Converge
Yes.
next on your agenda, because I know that Jonathan and Mario, hi Mario, and all his team have conference calls and Zoom calls later on. So
Okay.
I'm asking that we give them the courtesy also to listening to this item next.
Okay, Mario and Jonathan, are you okay with going after item B?
Sure.
Yes? Okay, perfect. That's exactly what we'll do then. Madam
Thank
Clerk,
you.
read item B first, and then we will take the converge item right after that.
Okay, item B, this is a second reading, a public hearing, an ordinance of the city of West Miami amending chapter 17, article 1 in general, adding a new section for Florida-friendly fertilizer use on urban landscapes within the city of West Miami as required by National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System for the state of Florida, County of Miami-Dade. This is phase 3 of the ordinance. The first reading took place in August 19, 2020, and this is the public hearing, second reading. And this item was advertised on a newspaper of general circulation of September 1st, 2020.
Okay, thank you, Madam Clerk. And at this time, I will open the public hearing and I will call upon those who wish to speak. Again, either if you'll raise your hand virtually, that way I can, or I can see you and I will call upon you. And I believe Daniel was the first one. So we'll go with Daniel, then Rachel. Hang on, let me see here. Okay, so Daniel, Rachel, and then I will continue. Daniel, go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Commission, for moving up this item. And like I was saying before, my name is Daniel Padilla Ochoa, work for Ocean Conservancy. We're a national nonprofit that works on ocean health. We have over 1 million online activists and over 100,000 supporters, many of which are in Miami-Dade County. Actually, it's one of our strongest areas of support. And on the fertilizer ordinance, there are some key points that really stood out to me that I wanted to bring your attention to. The restriction of application period. So basically what we, in Florida, there's many cities that have like a no application period for the rainy season, which tends to range from June until the beginning of November, is commonplace and is excellent practice. And it's something that I think would be greatly beneficial to the city of West Miami. And I think at least from June to September, something that you guys should consider. In addition to that, there is also kind of a go-to, which is no like phosphorus provision. So for the fertilizers that are used on the city properties, because of the damage the phosphorus does to our water quality and is oftentimes linked to a nutrient deposit in our water sources that leads to harmful algal blooms, I would recommend that also be revised and looked at. And in addition to that, as you all know, ordinances without teeth are hard to monitor and hard to implement. And so I would urge you guys to look at a penalty provision that really will incentivize the applicators to follow the best protocol here. And with that said, I also want to say thank you for putting this up for second reading. And I am very excited for the future of the entire region as I see every city come online with the priority to protect our water quality. So thank you.
Thank you,
Mr.
Daniel.
Padilla, Madam Mayor, what's
Go
your
ahead.
address, please, for the record?
Yes, I live in 234 Antiquera Avenue in Coral Gables.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. And for the speakers who will be coming up now, if you can remember to state your name and address for the record, that will be great. And Rachel, I know you're going to be next. And then for the rest of you all, I do see all your hands raised, but I don't know the order that you raise them in. And I can't seem to find an order here. So please forgive me if I call upon you and it's not in the order you raised your hand, but I will be calling upon all of you. Rachel, go ahead.
Thank you so much, Mayor and Commission, and really appreciate your flexibility in the schedule and for discussing this really important item. I'm Rachel Silverstein. I'm the Executive Director and Waterkeeper of a local nonprofit called Miami Waterkeeper. And we advocate to protect the water that you love and to keep the water safe for swimming, drinking, and fishing for all. And a really key part of that is controlling the amount of pollution getting into our waterways. And that is specifically nutrient pollution. And nutrients are like nitrogen and phosphorus that are commonly found in fertilizer. And when nitrogen and phosphorus get into our waterways, whether that be canals, storm drains, it all eventually leads to Biscayne Bay. it essentially over fertilizes the algae in the water, and it can turn our beautiful water that makes Miami cloudy and murky and causes what's called algae blooms, and that can kill our seagrass, which is what's been going on, as well as fish, which we saw the recent fish kill, of course, in Biscayne Bay that was very devastating for all of us. So I think fertilizer ordinances, as well as fixing septic, sewer, and stormwater runoff, is a really key part of controlling nutrient pollution in our waterways. And ordinances like this can be really powerful, but studies have shown that for them to really be effective, that they need to have a summertime blackout period. And that's because it's so rainy in the summer in Miami. Almost as soon as you've applied the fertilizer, it's run off before the plants can absorb it, and it almost immediately turns into pollution. So it's a waste of time, money, and harms the environment for homeowners and for landscapers as well. So we have already worked with the city of Miami, for example, on passing what's now the strongest fertilizer ordinance in the state. And that summertime ban is really critical to its effectiveness for water quality purposes. And again, it's totally unnecessary for the plants. We've talked to landscaping companies, we've talked to public works departments, and everybody's in agreement on that. So that's a really key piece that I'd recommend adding in here, as well as some sort of enforcement provision. We've actually, our general counsel, Kelly Cox, who's on the call, and will speak in a moment as well, has done a lot of work talking to other municipalities. There are over 80 of these ordinances already passed around the state of Florida, and looking at how people have done enforcement. We've written a memo on that that's available on our website. We'd be happy to share too, but some kind of penalty provision is key. And then a setback of 15 feet in a fertilizer-free zone around waterways and storm drains is also a really effective way to make these ordinances more powerful. And again, this isn't going to affect landscaping or how beautiful the city is. It's just going to limit the water pollution and the overuse of fertilizer, not the appropriate use of fertilizer. So I think Kelly and some of the other students who work with us as well are on the call, and will also fill you in on more information. But I thank you so much for the time again and the flexibility in taking up this really important item. We look forward to working with you on all of this. Thank you.
Just a
Thank
point
you,
of order,
Rachel.
Madam Mayor.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to have a contact number for Mr. Silverstein, Rachel Silverstein, and Mr. Padilla.
Padilla. All right.
To check out with the clerk and leave a phone number that I could get in touch with him.
Sure. It's 305 905 0856. And our address is 2103 Coral Way, 2nd floor, Miami 33145.
Would you repeat that again, please?
It's our address. It's 2103 Coral Way, 2nd floor, Miami 33145. And my email is Rachel, RACHEL, at miamiwaterkeeper.org. And our email is our website is www.miamiwaterkeeper.org, and /fertilizer has a lot of the model ordinance that we developed on the scientific memo supporting the ordinances with strict summertime bans, and the enforcement memo, as well as public outreach materials that we've developed, which are really critical in the success of any of these ordinances. It's imperative that the community is engaged in compliance with this and understands why it's so important.
Thank you, Rachel. And just to be sure that the attorney got that, go ahead and type all that into the chat so
Sure.
that he can see it, and that way, and be sure the clerk has a proper record of that. Okay, so thank you, Rachel, for your comments. And I will continue with the hands that I see raised. And again, I apologize if I'm not going to call you in the order you raised it. Jessica Dennis, if you will state your name and address for the record. And if I can please ask, for the sake of time, because I know that we have an item after you that is also has a time constraint. If you cannot repeat some of the things that Rachel and Daniel already said, that would be wonderful in the interest of time. So who did I call next? I clicked on you and Oh, Jessica, I'm sorry. Yes, go ahead, Jessica. Thank you. Go ahead.
Hi, thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you so much, Madam Mayor and Commissioners, for bringing this item and allowing the opportunity for public hearing on this item, and for also moving it up so that we may be allowed to speak at this moment. My name is Jessica Dennis. I am also involved with Miami Waterkeeper. I live at 35 Edgewater Drive in Coral Gables. As Rachel said, Miami Waterkeeper is a local environmental nonprofit working to ensure swimmable, drinkable water for all in South Florida. A number of my colleagues are present and are speaking as well. As our waterkeeper Rachel said earlier during the public hearing period, strong fertilizer ordinances are aimed at curbing nutrient pollution, which is important for a number of reasons in South Florida. During my involvement with Miami Waterkeeper, have worked specifically on a number of fertilizer ordinances across South Florida. And there are a few recommendations that I have for the proposed ordinance of West Miami at this point that would really allow the city of West Miami to be a champion for water quality with this ordinance. First of all, adding the restricted application period from June to September. Prohibited application periods during the rainy summer months are aimed toward keeping fertilizer from entering waterways as nutrient pollution, which is a problem for many reasons. Extending the fertilizer free zone that's included in your ordinance from 10 feet to 15 feet. Again, this is a setback from storm drains and waterways aimed at keeping excessive inappropriate amounts of fertilizers out of waterways, not necessarily off of plants. Adding specific provision for fertilizers containing nitrogen to be at least 50% slow release nitrogen. Adding a no phosphorus provision. Essentially, there's so much phosphorus in our soils in South Florida that it's almost extremely uncommon that you would find at any time anyone would need to use phosphorus fertilizers for any reason. And also adding a penalty provision. The ordinance as it reads currently has an enforcement provision, but there are no penalties to enforce necessarily. So that's something that I would recommend looking at. Again, I yield the remainder of my time. Thank you so much for allowing us to speak today.
Thank you, Jessica, and thank you for keeping it brief in the interest of time. Let me see here. Next, we have Kelly Cox. Name and address for the record, and go ahead, please. Kelly, you're muted. Okay, you're good now.
Hello. Good morning, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Commission. And again, I echo the thanks of my colleagues for letting us move this item up. As I also echo what Daniel and Rachel and Jessica have said on this item, I want to note that Miami Waterkeeper has been working to implement strong fertilizer ordinances in Miami-Dade County since 2017. And we've worked collaboratively with multiple municipalities on this effort, including the city of Miami and the village of Key Biscayne, as well as North Bay Village, to implement a strong fertilizer ordinance. And actually just this morning, the city of Miami Beach is on first hearing for a strong fertilizer ordinance. So for the sake of consistency, what we'd love to see from the city of West Miami is adoption of those provisions that Jessica just mentioned to strengthen the ordinance and better protect water quality. And something that we know from the recent fish kills that occurred in Biscayne Bay in the month of August and the subsequent algae bloom is that Biscayne Bay is really sensitive to nutrients. And while West Miami might not be a waterfront community in terms of abutting Biscayne Bay proper, it does have impacts on nutrient loading by way of the canal system, and other waterways that run near the municipality. So it's really important, as we know that the connectivity of these waterways can impact nutrients in Biscayne Bay, and thereby some of these subsequent issues we've seen, like algae blooms and fish kills. So I think from Miami Waterkeeper's perspective, it would be great to see this ordinance strengthened significantly to include the summertime ban, to expand the setbacks, to remove phosphorus from fertilizer mix, to promote slow release nitrogen at least 50%, and to include penalty provisions. I think these are really common sense measures that this commission can do and demonstrate leadership on this water quality effort to go a step farther than just complying with the terms of the MS4 permit and the NPDES requirements under the Clean Water Act. So I encourage this commission to do that. Take a moment if you need. We're happy to serve as a resource. And something else that Rachel mentioned that we do is we're able to co-brand education materials to better educate commercial applicators, homeowners, homeowner associations, points of sales for fertilizer materials and others to make everybody aware of why these restrictions are in place and why it's so important for water quality. Again, I thank you for the opportunity to comment, and I encourage you all to contact us at Miami Waterkeeper for further questions about how we can strengthen this ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. Thank you very much. Next, Terrence, you had your hand up. If you can state your name and address for the record, sir.
Hello, my name is Terrence Munoz. I live at 7935 East Drive, North Bay Village. I'm a student from the University of Miami Rosenstiel School of Marine Atmospheric Science. I'm for the amendment under Agenda B for eco-friendly fertilizer. And as many of you know, the Bay has recently experienced a huge die-off. Many scientists have contributed to fertilizer, sewage, septic tanks, so there's a mix of factors, but fertilizer is one of them. That's why I think it's very important that the city of West Miami also implements using eco-friendly fertilizer. But I also agree with the other comments that it's very important to, during the summer, from June to September, to have an ordinance against fertilizer, because the rainy season, as I said, it easily leads to the runoff of fertilizer into the water. And as you know from the die-off, that is a contributing factor to why so many fish have died, and it's very sad to see that. So we all need to put our part. So I hope the city of West Miami also contributes to this type of ordinance memorandum against using fertilizer in summer. And I yield the rest of my time. Thank you again for putting the agenda higher than it usually would be. We really appreciate it. Thanks so much again.
You're more than welcome, Terrence. And thank you for participating. Thank you all. Okay, next I have Ashley. Ashley, please state your name and address for the record, and go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hi, I'm Ashley Campbell, and I live at 6630 Southwest 57 Ave in South Miami. I'm an agricultural major, and I'm pursuing a degree in marine conservation. So the ordinance is very important to me. I feel like it can be strengthened. I'm going to echo the same things as the previous speakers have. I feel like it could be strengthened by adding a restricted application period from June to September and extending the fertilization free zone from 10 to 15. Also adding specific provisions for fertilizers containing nitrogen to be at least 50% slow release, and adding a no phosphorus provision and adding a penalty provision, which it doesn't have. Fertilizer is very important throughout my education. So I feel like we need to continue to make these provisions for the safety of our animals and biodiversity, especially with the recent fish kill. I will yield the rest of my time, but thank you for taking the time to listen to me today.
Thank you, Ashley. And Terrence and Ashley, I have to say, these courses and your majors, these are very interesting things you guys are undertaking. So I am extremely proud and happy that you guys are pursuing this type of education, and your majors just sound so exciting, much more exciting than things that I do on a daily basis. So kudos to both of you. Next, I have Sydney. Sydney, if you will unmute, state your name and address for the record.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Mayor and Commission, for letting me speak on this matter today. My name is Sydney Genghis. My address is 2263 Southwest 37th Avenue in Coral Gables. Currently, I'm pursuing my master's degree at the University of Miami with a track in marine conservation. After reviewing this ordinance, I noted some alterations that I believe could strengthen it overall. It was previously talked about, so I'm just going to reiterate it really quick. I noted that having a no application period would benefit greatly by limiting runoff and decreasing the amount of pollution, as well as incorporating a penalty provision just to ensure that the ordinance is being followed. Being a student at the Erasmus campus, water quality is very important to me, as well as my fellow students, just to continue our studies as well as benefit the environment. But I yield the rest of my time, and thank you so much for letting me speak today.
Thank you, Sydney. So my last comment about the majors goes to you as well. Very, very interesting. You guys are pursuing some very interesting majors. And if I may, I do see that Mr. Penna, our Public Services Director, does want to speak at this time. And I believe I might, Ashley, your hand is still up, but I called on you. Did you have, okay, Ashley's hand is down. So I do not see any other hands on this item. So Mr. Penna, the microphone is yours, sir.
Madam Mayor, I've had email conversations with the group regarding the additional language to the ordinance. I've read that the language they want. We have no objection to adding the language into the ordinance. I forwarded to Mr. Villalobos several days ago. And again, we have no objection to adding the same language to the ordinance that they have provided us, and continue forward with the reading of the ordinance.
Wonderful. Thank you for that information. And I'm very happy to hear that. I'm very happy to hear that. Mr. Attorney, go ahead, sir.
Yes, I concur with Mr. Pena, and I do think that water quality is most important. And I think that this is the forefront and the cutting edge of protecting the citizens' welfare of the citizens of the city of West Miami and the county as a whole. So I'm in full accord with the speakers and Mr. Pena.
Thank you, sir. And to all the speakers, you now have heard that the city of West Miami has taken everything you have said into consideration, and we support you. And I have my Vice Mayor with his hand up. Go ahead, Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. Just to clarify, Mr. Pena and Mr. Villalobos, the amendments you're talking about are going to be considered in the second reading today?
They will be added to the ordinance.
Okay, so can we, for the record, go through what exactly that is? Because it wasn't in the email agenda sent to us, correct?
No.
Okay, so can we just briefly go over what we're voting on extra, just for the record?
Sure. It will be adding to a restricted application period for fertilizer containing nitrogen and phosphorus shall not be applied to the turf landscape plants during the restricted application period, which is defined as June 1st to September 30th. This is a ban aimed to preventing excess nutrients, pollution, and runoff of entering our waterways during the unpredictable South Florida rainy season. Extending the fertilizer-free zone from 10 feet to 15 feet, which is a recommendation by the group. Adding a specific provision for fertilizers containing nitrogen, where it states granting fertilizers containing nitrogen applied onto turf or landscape plants within the city shall be at least 50% slow release, controlled release, time release, solely available or water insoluble nitrogen per guaranteed analysis label. Adding a non-phosphorus provision for fertilizer containing phosphorus shall be applied to turf or landscape within the city, except where phosphorus deficiency has been demonstrated in the soil. To apply phosphorus turf or landscape plants shall provide a copy of the test results to the city prior to the application of the phosphorus, and adding the penalty provision as requested in order to be able to enforce the ordinance.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Pena. Now, I want to thank all the speakers who came. I think that environmental sustainability is pretty much economic prosperity in Miami-Dade County, especially with tourism. I'm in full favor of the amendments, and I look forward to working with these groups in the future if they have any other recommendations. And that's all my comments on this.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. And before I open it, before I call upon anyone else, I have to officially close the public hearing. So the public hearing, Madam Clerk, is closed. And as I was saying before, thank you to all the speakers. And as you've heard from the Vice Mayor and Mr. Pena and our attorney, the City of West Miami is very happy to work with you to consider all the amendments that you asked to be put in our ordinance that will be done. And thank you for taking your time to be a part of our meeting today. And thank you for all that you do for Mother Earth. Thank you for everything that you do, and keep up the good work. Commissioner Blanes, I saw you had your hand up. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I second what you just said, Madam Mayor, and I thank all the speakers for their participation and input. Thank you so much for coming today and sharing your knowledge with us. It's greatly appreciated.
Thank you, Commissioner. Does anyone else from the table have anything to say before we take a vote on this item? Okay, upon hearing no request from the table to speak, Madam Clerk, I believe we read the item already. Yes, we did. So
Yes, Madam Mayor.
please.
We need a motion, Madam Mayor.
Yes, I need a motion.
Motion.
Thank you. I need a second. I have a second from Vice Mayor.
The motion includes the amendments?
Yes, it's a second that is amended.
I sure hope so.
Okay.
All right, that's a first and a second as amended. Madam Clerk, call the vote, please.
Yes, Commissioner Blanca, how do you vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Blanes?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Diaz-Padrón?
Yes.
Mayor Rodriguez?
Yes.
4-0, item passes.
Point of privilege, and I apologize, I keep muting and unmuting myself. I have a lot of background noise from some construction that's going on here, so I apologize if I'm kind of late to mute and unmute myself, but I don't want the background noise to interrupt our meeting, so my apologies for the background. Madam Clerk, I believe we're going to take the Converge item next, please, if you will read that.
Items C and D. Item C, report of the Office of the City Manager regarding the reduction of an amount of $20,000 offered by our legislative consultants due to COVID-19 for fiscal year 2020-2021, and request for authorization to extend the governmental affairs with Converge for a period of 2 years with an end date of September 30, 2022, restoring the 2019-2020 retainer for services to an amount of $50,000 for fiscal year 2021-2022 by City Manager.
Madam Manager, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and members of the City Commission. This issue comes to you today after several emails back and forth over the last few months and conversations that we've had with our legislative team who is present in this Zoom meeting. Jonathan and Mario, great to see you guys, and I hope to see you in person soon. As you know, when we started the budget process early spring and after COVID had already made its presence in our nation and globally, we started to look at ways to save money because you know that the next couple of years, as we have talked about, are going to be unpredictably different. And I don't know that any of us have a crystal ball as to the expectations. So I think our mission this year has been to try to focus on the budget reserves and try to build our reserves in anticipation of what is expected in the next coming years. And we have reached out to all of our partners to be able to find savings in the budget. I contacted Jonathan several months ago, and he openly and willingly said he would take it back to his team and discuss the possibility of a reduction, even after we recognize, and I know you have, Mayor and members of the City Commission, recognize their effort in being very instrumental in the securing of the $985,000 that we received for this from the state, or we're in the process of putting now our first phase of the potable water improvement system. So that being said, I have to tell you that I personally, as you all have witnessed the work that goes on behind the scenes and the legislative representation that we have had with the use of our legislative consultants, the team that is comprised of professionals and the work of Converge. In addition to that, we have been successful in receiving FERDAP grants, and that's extremely important to the city. Going back to the environmental discussions that we've had this morning, we're trying to always look at our parks and recreation to make them environmentally friendly and a safe place for the future of our children. So I got to say that the work relationship has been professional, and I would recommend that because they have taken the position to reduce their fees by $20,000 this coming fiscal year, I would submit to the commission that we continue our working relationship with Converge and allow them the opportunity, as stated by our initial request for proposals, that we allow them to renew their contract through September 30th, 2022. That will allow the city continuity in representation in the Florida legislature, and especially in a year of election where changes are expected. I know that we can count on them to hopefully continue to bring back money for our long overdue project. And that pretty much in a nutshell concludes my recommendation and my professional opinion regarding the work by Converge. And I am one that believes in continuity. I'm open to any questions that you all may have.
Thank you, Madam Manager. Are there any questions or comments for the manager or for Converge? Go ahead, Vice Mayor.
I don't have any questions or comments. Actually, I have a comment, just not to the manager at Converge. I think that this item before us actually provides a lot of mutual beneficial aspects. I think that Converge has done a great job building out a very versatile and diverse firm that doesn't worry me at all getting into a multi-year extension, and also saving us some money this year coming up is a massive benefit. So I'm in full favor as the manager recommended. And I look forward to working with you, Mario, and Jonathan, and the rest of the firm in the upcoming sessions. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Any other comments or questions from Commissioner Blanes, Commissioner Blanca? Okay, I do have a comment. Mario, Jonathan, thank you for what you have done, the great things you have done for us. And thank you for the great things I know you will continue doing for us over the next couple of years. I echo the Vice Mayor's words. I look forward to working with you. I look forward to the time when we can come back to see you in Tallahassee and work together for the greater good of our wonderful city. So thank you for what you've done, and thank you for what you will be doing for us, because I know you will be doing great things for us. Commissioner, thank you for the thumbs up. I see you agreeing with my words, so thank you for that. And this was a report from the city manager. Do I have anyone opposed to the city manager?
We need a resolution. We need a resolution.
This was a report, yeah? So do I have anyone opposed to this? Where am I here?
We need a resolution, Madam Mayor.
We are on item C. We need to read the resolution item D, Madam Mayor.
It's next.
Madam
I'm sorry.
Mayor.
Okay, I just found my spot. Go ahead. Yes, Madam Manager.
Madam Mayor, Jonathan Kilman is in our Zoom meeting as Mario, and I don't know if you want to give him a couple of minutes to sort of reintroduce himself to those that are watching and talk a little bit about some of the expectations this coming year. I think we don't have a crystal ball, but I think we should allow them to put something on the record. That would be my recommendation. Thank you.
Now that I found my place on the agenda again, that was going to be next. Jonathan, Mario, the microphone is all yours, sir.
Thank you, and we appreciate your kind words and appreciate the relationship that we've developed with the city and with all of you over the last couple of years. We think it's been very productive, mutually productive for us. We enjoy working with clients where we can really become aligned with the mission, and the city has given us very clear directives about what is important to the city in order to secure and ensure its future and its growth, consistent with the vision of all the commissioners. And so we appreciate the opportunity. This year, as you know, was a difficult year with significant vetoes. We were thankful that the FERDAP project was able to be funded, but water projects across Miami-Dade County, unfortunately, were subject to veto this year. Heading into the next legislative session, as you've all said, there are no crystal balls. We are in communication with rising legislative leadership to do our best to try to begin to outline the contours of what the appropriation process might look like this year. And in part, it sort of depends upon a blend of the use of federal funds, CARES Act funding, as well as what the budget outlook is as we get closer to the legislative session. Not only that, but I think we can anticipate an unusual year in Tallahassee, and that I think access to the Capitol and to legislators will be different than it has been historically. I think they may be doing alternating weeks potentially, where the House meets one week, the Senate meets another week, and there'll be restrictions on physical access in the building. And so to that end, we have been very engaged as a firm in reaching out and having personal dialogues by phone, by Zoom, with members of the legislature, so that we're prepared to be able to represent you when we go back up there, or if we're doing it remotely. And so we feel confident that we'll be in a position to give you solid representation again. And again, want to just thank you for the opportunity. I'll stop there. Hopefully I haven't overspoken. Mario, if you have any brief statement you'd like to make.
Sure. I just want to say it's been an honor to work on behalf of you guys. The Legislative Budget Commission, they met last week. Each year, by September 15, they have to present the numbers about what they're seeing. With the governor's veto, the legislature will not have to go back into a special session. They'll have roughly 1.3 billion, roughly, to kind of push them over into the session. There'll be challenges, we think, for the next couple of years, but we look forward to working hard, finding all available resources to make sure that the city continues to move forward. So it's been an honor and pleasure to continue working with you.
I like hearing that, Mario. Thank you so much, Jonathan. Thank you, Mario. Anyone else comment? I see Commissioner Blanes with his clapping hands and his thumbs up. Commissioner, did you want to say something? With that, just a thumbs up? That's a thumbs up. Okay, so now 2 thumbs up. Thank you all. Madam Clerk, if you can read the resolution, please.
Yes, item 11D, resolution of the Mayor and City Commission of the City of West Miami authorizing the Office of the City Manager to extend the contract for governmental affairs with Converge Governmental Affairs of Florida, Inc. for a period of 2 fiscal years, commencing October 1st, 2020, and ending September 30th, 2022, accepting the reduction of retainer fees from Converge in the amount of $20,000 for fiscal year 2020-21, reinstating the $50,000 retainer commencing for fiscal year 2021-2022, providing for effective date.
Before it's moved, I think there needs to be a correction, Madam Mayor, to the resolution. And that the retainer fees would be $30,000 for fiscal year commencing October 1st, 2020, not $20,000, Madam Clerk. The reduction is in the amount of $20,000 over the present year's budget.
Noted.
Thank you, Madam Manager.
Motion.
With that correction made, I have a motion.
Second.
I have a second. Madam Clerk, call the vote, please.
Yes, Commissioner Blanes, how do you vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Blanca?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Diaz-Padrón?
Yes.
Mayor Rodriguez?
Yes.
4-0, item passes.
I was muted. Jonathan Meyer, thank you so much for being with us. I know you have a busy day, so hopefully we will see you all in person very soon.
Thank you.
Have a great rest of the day, guys. Madam Clerk, if we could go back to the agenda, I believe the report of the city manager was next, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, Madam Mayor, item 6, report of the city manager.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and members of the City Commission. I'll try to be as brief as possible. Over the last couple of weeks, I want to say months, and it seems like dog years, we've been involved with the CARES reimbursement process and as well as FEMA for any and all eligible expenses as a result of the pandemic. As you know, we provided to you an Excel spreadsheet at the beginning of the process that basically outlined some of the projects that you, as well as our office, recommended for reimbursement. That list got a thumbs up from Miami-Dade County, from Jennifer Moon. I think you all saw my emails. She thought it was a great list. After attending numerous webinars and informational sessions via Zoom and in conversation with a consultant from Miami-Dade County, it's a company by the name of Haggerty, and they've been very responsive. We find that some of the projects that you and the city felt it was important to assist the residents, that unfortunately, these programs would either entail additional resources. And I want to go through these three categories because I think it's important that we put on record that while the intention is noble and on the part of the mayor and commission, unfortunately, it doesn't rise to the level of the reimbursement process. So the first thing that they have basically stated is, as you know, we talked about a gift card for groceries for senior citizens who live on fixed income using the threshold that Miami-Dade County has established for the additional homestead exemption. Basically, the city would have to invest $25,000 based on $100 per household, per family, 200 and on an estimate of 250 families. The city would have to invest $25,000 in expense and cash expense to purchase the gift cards and basically create a project for that would be subject to approval from FEMA and CARES. And there are no guarantees that this project will be reimbursed because we have to prove that certain conditions exist in every single household. So we would be having to have a member of staff or additional staff to actually ask for financial statements and pretty much the financial status of each and every family considered for these grocery cards. So I'm very weary, especially what we have been talking about and just talked about the upcoming financial outlook. And I think every city needs to be very concerned about this in the next couple of years, in suggesting to you that you make an expense of this magnitude and later come to you and say that it is not going to be reimbursed by CARES or FEMA. So, I mean, we've done our due diligence, but there are no guarantees that we will be reimbursed. And again, FEMA will reimburse the city for expenses related under Category B, titled Protective Emergency Measures. And I don't know that this would fall under that category. And we've dealt with FEMA for many years. And again, CARES would have such scrutinization of the project that I am not confident that we should be earmarking or spending $25,000 in this project. Secondly, we spoke about the opportunity of allowing small businesses or businesses in general along our corridors a grant for $2,500 to make it equal for everybody, to help them maybe go out there and market their services once the reopening phases start. And we're looking that some of these businesses are now going to be allowed to reopen. And so we thought about coming up with ways that the city could give a direct benefit, although we understand that the county has been given and the federal government has all these programs that are available to businesses. And I know, Mayor, that you had, you had talked to me about the possibility of this grant program, and other commissioners, the vice mayor, everybody had reached out to our office. However, I am advised that because the accountability for the program would be so complex, and the program criteria becomes so stringent, that it would require us to have to, at least at a minimum, hire staff that would work with each individual business and obtain financials, obtain ownership records, obtain bank statements, and have a pro forma pretty much of everything that they have lost along the way since March 16th. Actually, the designation date is April 1st. If we wanted to put the money on the table for this program, you're talking $750,000, give or take, based on 300 businesses. So I'm not confident that we are able to hire new staff for this project. And I am not confident that we have a software that they will require for us to continue measuring the goals of the program and the performance by each and every business. It would require pretty much staff to be devoted to having a liaison with the business community, and asking for things that are, that are financially sensitive, if you would. Not all businesses would qualify. Off the top of my head, I can tell you, Publix will not qualify because they have made a lot of money during the pandemic. They have a lot of surpluses. So grants for businesses like that, grocery store chains that we have in our city, gas stations, people that have not really lost a lot of money will not be eligible to receive the $2,500. And of course, we would not be reimbursed. So on and on, I can tell you that developing these programs are extremely difficult for the city. And again, the water bill reduction, I know we talked about giving residents of the city, every household, a one-time $50 water bill reduction. We have been advised by CARES, by Meredith Moore and Andre, which are the representatives for Hagerty. We have already been advised that the reduction in the water bills is not a CARES eligible approved activity. So unfortunately, the three categories which you all and we felt that would be of tremendous assistance to the community, and it would put us out there on a very positive note, there are no guarantees that we can recover this money. So what we're doing now, we're in the process of filing our reimbursements for actual, for the plexiglasses that have been installed at City Hall, for the 1% that's coming to you for our first responders shortly at the next commission meeting, the employee time, the sanitation equipment and supplies that the city has had to purchase, the signage for the wearing of the masks, the time for the employees from the recreation center assigned to help out with the delivery of the second meals being funded by District 6, and as it's a partnership. So we have about $65,000, $70,000 worth of real expenses that have already gone on into the books that we believe that we can be reimbursed for, and we will be reimbursed for. It's not going to be an overnight decision. You saw it in Irma, and we've seen it in past storms, that there are hoops that you have to jump, and it takes about 18 months to 2 years during any given major episode to collect money from FEMA because of the scrutiny and the paperwork and the trail involved with following up on this. So I wanted to give you this report, which I will follow in writing. I did start to issue the memo, but over the last few days, I've been extremely involved with CARES and FEMA. There's a lot of entry work that has to be done, and Mrs. Leon and I have undertaken this responsibility, but I will confirm this in writing. But I think it was important enough for residents to understand the magnitude of the paperwork and the compliance issues and the accountability issues that are involved with participating in these programs. You know, it all sounds really nice. Well, apply for this and we'll give it to you. Well, that's not the way it works.
Madam
So-
Clerk, Madam Clerk, Madam Manager, thank you for that report. And as you said, you and I have discussed, and Vice Mayor, I saw your hand. I will call upon you next. As you said, you and I have discussed this at length. We, you know that I was fully supportive of these programs. I wanted to find ways to give back to our citizens, to our residents, our businesses. And, I was very saddened when you told me that, how difficult it would be, and that some of the things you wanted to do didn't qualify. We're a small city. I mean, there's very, very, very good things about being a small city, and I love my small city, and I love the good things about it. But we're not big like these larger cities that have been able to do some of these things that they had the funding to do so, before having to go and ask for and if they don't get reimbursed, they're okay because they have the money. So, it was disheartening, to hear that we couldn't. But I want you all to keep in mind that that's why I am so big on building our reserves, and I am so much in support of us getting to where we need to be in our reserves. So God forbid something else happens, or when something happens, we will have the money. We'll have the money in reserves that we can take care of these kinds of things. So that's why I have always been so big on building our reserves. And when I see we have to dip into reserves, I take a step back, because it's times like this that I want to be able to give back and to help out to help our city do the things that we need to do. So thank you for that report. And I'm sad, I'm sad, but I understand. I understand everything you said about why, why we just can't. Vice Mayor, I know you had a comment. You unmute yourself.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Madam Manager, just two quick questions. Number one, the SFM disinfecting that took place a while back, is that going to be reimbursed by FEMA?
Yes,
Or you think so?
the environmental disinfecting and cleansing products and the plexiglass, all of those expenses, including the signage in all of our city facilities, all that will be reimbursed.
And then number two, I know we spoke a little bit about the CARES Act funding that you reported on. And I agree with you. I agree with the mayor. I don't think it's prudent to expend those costs when it's unlikely that we're going to get it back from FEMA or from any governmental body. But what was or is the deadline to submit projects to Hagerty or whoever it is you have to submit to?
New projects had a deadline for yesterday, September 15th, at the end of the business
so
day.
It's gone. We shouldn't talk about this anymore. Right?
Not about new projects. However, we can edit our projects. In the example that we are delivering meals to our senior citizens in the city, and outside the city, within our service boundaries as defined by the Alliance for Aging. We are utilizing staff from the Recreation Center to do that. So we will continue to upload payrolls as we move along, because everything has to be in the system by November 15th. So that we can continue to edit projects.
Edit meaning amend also?
Yes, and that means
you
if we have additional expenses in one category, we continue to add those expenses because we've already been approved for those expenses.
Got it.
Again,
All right.
this is, and remember, these refunds from CARES or reimbursements from CARES will heavily rely on FEMA's reimbursement. They're going to basically come in and support the 12.5% match. And FEMA will be responsible for the 75% disbursement on these projects under the category B, which is called emergency measures. The one thing that I failed to report is as and as we move along and interact with the public and people who have called, and there's not that many, but we are, just so you know, we have not been charging since March 16th. We have not been collecting $10 penalty for people who pay their water bill late because of the economic situation. And we are not disconnecting water service. We are trying to work with residents and try to get them to come in to the city and pay past due amounts. Even if they're able to pay $20, it's $20 towards a past due account. So we're being extremely flexible with residents who contact us that really have a financial hardship. I myself have talked to, I want to say, a handful of residents that have been impacted, and your heart goes out to these people. They're trying to see, what do they pay? Their mortgage, the roof over their head, or their water and electric bill? And what we're doing, Mayor, is, and I wanted to talk about the newsletter a little bit. I know you and I have talked about maybe putting a very brief newsletter, informational. We're trying to make our presence known out there in social media. I think you've seen blast emails over the last 10, 15 days, more so than before. We're taking the contents from our welcome packet and putting it on social media, on the city website. We're trying to be very proactive. But each case, again, with assistance to the residents, just like the garbage fee for this fiscal year, the water bills, occupational licenses. I know we're going to deal with that, and Mr. Pena's office just billed the occupational licenses. I think that there needs to be a level of flexibility this year due to the pandemic, because what we want is these businesses to come back and reopen their doors. So we're working, like I said, with each case individually, and try to help our residents wherever possible. So that's pretty much what we're doing. So there is a direct benefit. We are doing something for the residents, just a peace of mind knowing that they're going to have water, because it's either grocery that week versus paying their water bill. You've got to make some conscientious decisions along the way and allow these people to bring in whatever they're able to pay. And that pretty much summarizes what is unseen that is being done that have tangible effects with the residents.
Thank you, Madam Manager, for that information, and Vice Mayor, thank you for those questions. Anybody else? Commissioners, anybody else have a comment or question for the manager about her report? Madam Manager, I want to thank you and Luli. I know that the accountability and the complexity of all this data input has brought an additional, not that you needed additional work, but it has brought an additional workload upon you. And you both have undertaken this task with everything you've got and made sure that you're, put in all the information in so that we can get our money back. So thank you and Luli for that, very much so.
You're very welcome, ma'am.
Okay, if we're done, Madam Manager, was that the end of your report?
That is the end, unless somebody has a question or a comment. And you will get a report in writing from me on this.
Okay, I see upon seeing no questions or comments, Madam Clerk, next item on the agenda.
Item 7, report of the city attorney.
Good afternoon. Well, good morning. We're not in the afternoon yet. There's no report by the city attorney other than saying that the courts have not yet set forth the oral argument in the Banyum case. So we're still waiting for them for the court to set a date for that.
Thank you. And as I've said before, Mr. Attorney, please let us know when that date is scheduled.
Okay.
Okay, next item, Madam Clerk.
Item 8, report of the city engineer.
Good morning. Hold on, let me turn on my video. Hello. Here at the city today. The only report I have today is regarding the drainage project that we're near completion on one of the drainage projects over on 13th Street and 65th Avenue. So we're almost done with that project, and we're about getting ready to kick off the water main project, as you all know, next month. We don't have an exact date yet, but it will happen next month. I believe the flyer has been distributed, showing the project area and the scope. So we're looking forward to getting that started. That's my report. Any questions?
Thank you. And Madam Mayor, along those lines, we haven't really come out with the dates for the groundbreaking. I want to do a little bit more of, if you would, communication with offices for our state representative, our senator, our district commissioner, to make sure that at least the folks that had a lot to do with the procurement of the funds are being invited. And so we are working on it, and we'll be sending out a calendar for early October with a couple of dates for your consideration. And again, we want to also wait until the rephasing is a little bit more advanced, if you would, the rephasing, the openings that, and I see some of the restrictions being reviewed at this time, and hopefully we'll be in a better position to congregate as a city out there and celebrate this moment in time.
Thank you for reading my mind on that, Madam Manager. That's exactly what I was going to say. So thank you for that. Next item, Madam Clerk.
Item 9, committee reports. Report of the mayor.
I don't have anything. Well, what I did want to report on is part of the agenda. So I don't have anything at this time. Madam Clerk, please proceed with the agenda.
Any other committee?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Madam Mayor.
Vice Mayor.
This is not a committee, it's not a committee report, but I'd like to know if you'd like me to ask this question now or later. I have a question for Mr. Alonso on something regarding the Potable Water project. So now or later, whenever you want me to do it, but I figure I'd bring it up.
I don't think we have an item on the agenda on that. So go ahead and.
We don't have an item. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, then go ahead and ask it now, sir. Go right ahead.
Thank you. Hey, Frankie, I've been talking to some residents after we put up the information on the Potable Water project, and some residents brought me a very interesting potential problem that I just want to know if you're aware of or if it's a problem at all. Some said that when they had their plumbing, when they had their the pipes on their property changed due to whatever plumbing problems they had. The plumbers had told them that when the feeder is changed, because there's been so much buildup in them, there's going to be a lot more pressure, and that may cause debris from within their pipe to clog up on their property. So that the plumber was suggesting something like lowering the valve once the feeder is replaced, is to lower the pressure. Is that something that makes any sense to you? Is that something that we have to address?
Yeah, I mean, definitely part of this project is going to increase their pressures. The system currently is undersized and outdated, as you all know, and leaking. So they are going to see an increase in pressure. Unfortunately, I don't know that there's a whole lot that we can do on the private property. A lot of those homes do have older plumbing.
Right. So I'm thinking.
I think each service will have has a valve, so they can throttle back the pressure in their individual homes. I mean, yes, that's something that we've discussed, but it's really,
right.
It's kind of a byproduct of the project. You are going to have an increased pressure, which is positive. It's just in some of these older homes, it may be an issue for them.
Correct. So what I'm thinking is, on these projects, my biggest concern is obviously disruption to the residents. And if we can avoid that, that would be great. Obviously, we can't avoid it through pressure, but I'm thinking we're a small community. When we get to that point, do you think, Mr. Pena, Madam Manager, Frankie, is there a way that we can kind of put out some information to the affected residents to make sure that they don't end up, or at least try to mitigate any plumbing problems they'll have from from the increased pressure that they'll get. Is that something we can start thinking about going forward? I know we can't go on there and just start lowering and start closing up valves, but as we get closer to the project being completed, maybe we should start thinking about informing some people to mitigate some problems and lessen some headaches on our end. So I mean, we got time, and I just wanted to bring that to your attention that some residents have been bringing that up, and see if we can get ahead of it.
I think the city attorney has a question.
Mr. Attorney, go ahead. And Frankie, I do remember that question coming up in the workshop at the rec that day. And you addressed it. I do recall that. Mr. Attorney, go ahead, sir.
Yes, thank you very much. I know that this is not in the agenda, but it's an important item that I think the Vice Mayor wisely brought it out to your attention. Now, we had this in the past, and we want to be sure that citizens realize that the city of Miami is not responsible for any water damage inside of their piping, inside of their private homes. We had in the past, as the manager may remember, people that had leakage in their homes, and they have tried to blame the city for those expenses. And I would respectfully suggest that the city sends out a message, as for instance, Miami-Dade County does, that anything that happens beyond the water meter is a responsibility of the resident and not the city.
I agree with the attorney. I just, also think that we should, also with in addition to the legal information, we should really be trying to minimize the headaches so we don't get residents going back to this commission meeting and causing, a justifiable problem, because frankly, we have the opportunity to warn them. So, just something to keep in mind. We got some time, so I appreciate you being on top of that. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, Vice Mayor, and Mr. Attorney. Thank you for your advice. And I know we have been all over informing the residents that are in that area in phase 1. We put on information to them, and I know that we will continue doing so. So great suggestion. And I'm pretty sure we were probably already planning that, but I'm going to yield. I see the manager wants to make a comment, but I know we'll, as always, provide all the information that's necessary to our residents for their benefit. Madam Manager, go ahead.
Thank you. And I have a question for the city engineer, if I may, Madam Mayor. May I pose a question to Frank?
Absolutely.
Thank you, Frank. Are we going to take pictures or videos of the existing right-of-way areas before the project starts, so that we can have an archive? God forbid if somebody comes and says they damage my driveway approach. We've seen it happen here, and it happened during the sanitary sewer system project. Are we going to have a very good record of all these properties affected by the first phase of the project?
Yeah, that's always a requirement of any construction project now. I mean, we have them video the entire project corridor, take pictures of anything specific. They have to document the precondition. If not, it's going to be the contractor's responsibility, not the city's. So it's very, everybody, we do that on all projects now as a matter of process, that they do that prior to beginning any construction.
And I have another question. The bulk of the work will happen within the paved area, correct? For the installation of the water line. And I know I saw the plan, but I'm not an engineer.
Yeah.
And I know that primarily, these lines are going to be installed in the paved area, correct?
The main lines will be installed along the edge of the pavement, and then you'll have the laterals that'll be installed through the rear easements. So
Through the rear easements. Okay. And again, all those conditions that are existing today
they will be
will
documented.
they will be documented. Okay. If we can get a copy of that, I would really appreciate that. I know
Okay.
that Juan will probably be the department,
Yep.
the public services that deal with it, and we want to make our employees knowledgeable on the issue in case they get any calls you know, from concerned residents. So please share all that information. And Mr. Penna and I could probably speak to staff, and maybe you as well can give us some direction, Madam Mayor, because I think that knowledge is you know, being informed is a big plus for the project.
I was just going to say, and I was going to address it to you, Madam Manager, to Frankie, and to Mr. Penna, echoing the Vice Mayor's words. There's no such thing as enough information. You know, too little, too late. I don't want to hear it. I want to be sure that the residents are completely informed of the project all along the way, and any information that we need to get to them, we need to get to them, so that they know exactly what's going on. And you know, there's no such thing as too much information. So let's just, you know, stay on top of that, you know, keeping the residents informed, and not go forward in the dark. Let's just, you know, be sure everything's out there. For anyone who wants to know, they'll know. Anything else from staff or from the table?
No.
Okay.
Thank you for entertaining that, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Vice Mayor, for your comments. All right, Madam Clerk, next item on the agenda.
Item 10, unfinished business, none today. Item 11, under new business agenda items, item 11A. This is a second reading, a public hearing, an ordinance of the Mayor and City Commission of the City of West Miami adopting the revised building department fee schedule on attached Exhibit A for all building permits issued by the City of West Miami with an effective date of January 1st, 2021, providing for codification, inclusion in the City Code of Ordinances, and this is phase 3 of the ordinance, and first reading took place on August 19 and was advertised on September 1st on a newspaper of general circulation.
Okay. Since this is a public hearing, I'm going to open the public hearing. Anyone wish to speak on the public hearing? Upon seeing no one asking to speak, I will close the public hearing and open it up to staff to comments. Anyone from staff going to speak on this? Mr. Penna?
Madam Mayor, I would recommend that we hear from both staff, Mr. Penna, and our city engineer on this issue again to put it on the record.
Yeah, I opened it up to both of them. Go ahead. Who wants to go first?
Mayor, Commissioners, this is long overdue. It's an increase of our base fees from $130 to $150 for residential, and from $130 to $200 for commercial. Like I said, it's long overdue, and people really like the service that we give them with the building department, the quickness, the response, and the walk behind all the way that they get from start to finish. So we need to move this in order to be able to fund the building department fees.
Yeah, I would add to what Juan said. The genesis of all this really was that our fee schedule has always piggybacked since the beginning, the inception of the building department, off the Miami-Dade County's fee schedule. Obviously, Miami-Dade County is a much larger entity with a much larger quantity of permits and inspections and all that. So it's different model, if you will. So we looked at, as we prepared this, we looked at similar municipalities of similar size and quality. So we looked at City of South Miami, City of Coral Gables, Miami Shores, some other cities to look at their fee schedule, how it was not only the fees themselves, but how it was structured. Miami-Dade County's structure is quite convoluted. So not only did we raise the minimum fees, as Juan stated, but we also did a reevaluation of the entire schedule just to simplify some things and put our fees more in line with our sister municipalities that are similar to us, rather than kind of just piggyback on the county. So that was the genesis of everything, and it'll put us, the fees in line to the quality of the service that we're providing the city. So.
Frankie, I do have to say, I love the way you simplified it. I see all these removals and removing the different levels and the different groups and making it all one. So
yeah,
that definitely simplifies it tremendously. So thank you for doing that.
Yeah, and that's very consistent with other cities, how it just makes it easier to administer, and it makes it clearer for the resident as to what they're paying for.
I see that. It definitely makes it clear just looking at it. So thank you for that. Any questions or comments from the table for Mr. Alonso or Mr. Penna? I don't see any hands up for questions. Frankie, Mr. Penna, did you have anything else to or Madam Manager, anything else you want to input on this item?
No, again, I think we should post it for the benefit of the community, as we're doing with everything else, and publicize the information. And obviously it doesn't affect the residents that are not doing construction work. If you're doing construction work, you're going to see some changes in the fees, but overall, if you're not utilizing the service, it's not going to affect you.
And the fee schedule doesn't change until January 1st.
Right, right.
Okay. I need a motion.
Motion.
I have a motion. I need a second.
Oh,
I have a second by Commissioner Blanca. Madam Clerk, call the vote, please.
Yes, Commissioner Blanca, how do you vote?
Let me unmute her. Commissioner Blanca, I unmuted you. How do you vote?
yes.
Thank you.
Commissioner Blanes,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Diaz-Padrón,
No.
Vice Mayor Diaz-Padrón, no. Mayor Rodriguez.
Yes.
So we have 3-1, item passes, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Next item.
Next item would be item 11E. This is a resolution of the Mayor and City Commission of the City of West Miami authorizing the city manager to execute a contract with Higgins Landscaping for the parkway trees and installation for the City of West Miami pursuant to that certain contract executed by and between the City of West Miami and Higgins on 2017, providing for effective date.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. If I may, this is consistent with the Neat Streets grant application that has been awarded by the Miami-Dade County. And so what we're doing is, in order to meet the new deadline established, which is November 16th or November 15th of 2020, we don't have time to actually go out for an RFQ. And so what we would like to do is, and I know that the city attorney is very cautious in the use of the word piggybacking, but we want to piggyback on the contract that we have, the open contract that we have with Higgins Landscaping, provided that he will meet, with the exception of a CPI increase, that he will sustain the prices that were in his original contract. And I believe he's done so, correct, Mr. Penna?
Yes, but we're not piggybacking, we're extending his contract.
Well, you're extending the contract. I'm sorry, I shouldn't
the
use
option to renew.
piggybacking, but we're going to benefit from the pricing he gave us when the
2022.
contract was executed,
Correct,
with the
Thank
exception
you,
of
and I-
CPI.
correct.
Thank you. And I thought I see the attorney's hand up. Go ahead, Mr. Attorney.
Well, Mr. Pena took the wind out of my sail, and I was going to say that, in fact, this is not piggybacking at all. And actually, it's not extending, but as I understand it, Mr. Pena, the contract that we executed was for 4 years, which had not been passed yet, right?
That's correct.
So that it's just a continuation of the existing contract. The only thing that changes is that there was for pricing that, of course, is not what was good 4 years or 3 years ago, cannot be consistent with the pricing this year. So the manager was able to contact the, and Mr. Pena was able to contact the merchant, and they were able to have a very positive arrangement, economic arrangement with them. So as I say, it's not piggybacking and not extending, but it's just complying with the existing contract. As a matter of fact, that contract could be extended for 3 additional one-year periods, consistent with the approval of the City Commission.
Thank you, Mr. Attorney. Does anyone else have any questions or comments for staff or for the attorney on this item? Upon hearing no questions or comments.
What was that?
Yeah, I was trying to go on really quick because I don't know.
Was that somebody's stomach?
I was just moving the meeting. I was moving the meeting along really quick here. Yes, I was just, I pretended to not hear that, but thank you for bringing that to my attention, Commissioner. I was trying to like go beyond that. Madam Clerk, did we, I believe you read the resolution already, yes?
Yes, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. All right, I need a motion. I need a motion.
Motion.
Thank you. I need a second. I have a second from Commissioner Blanca. I saw it. I couldn't unmute her on time, but I saw her second. Madam Clerk, can you please call the vote?
Yes, Commissioner Blanca.
That was a yes.
That's a yes. Commissioner Blanes.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Diaz-Padrón.
Yes.
I'm sorry, was that a yes?
Yes, it was a yes.
Okay, Mayor Rodriguez.
Yes.
4-0, item passes.
Thank you. Let's move on to the next item, which is item F.
Yes, item F, report by the Office of the City Manager, deleting language in the memorandum of understanding between Miami-Dade County and the City of West Miami regarding the CARES reimbursement declaration.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll be brief. Last week, I believe it was Thursday, I spoke to the city attorney, and I believe I may have provided copies of the email to the members of the City Commission regarding the interlocal agreement between the City of West Miami and Miami-Dade County for the purpose of the CARES reimbursement. They meaning Miami-Dade County, the Office of Budget and Management, requested that there would be no language that involved FEMA in the contract. After further discussion with the city attorney, he advised me to go ahead and proceed with executing the amendment in the language provided by Miami-Dade County, which did not materially affect our reimbursement process, is that they did not want CARES commingled with FEMA language in there. So after review by the city attorney and numerous conversations, he opined that it was safe for me to go ahead and accept the new language. I just wanted to report that for the record as well.
Any questions on this item for the manager or the attorney? As long as it meets with my city attorney's approval, it meets with my approval. Thank you, Mr. Attorney, for opining on that and making sure we're always doing the right thing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item, Madam Clerk.
Yes, item 11G, discussion regarding Halloween 2020 and the 2020 lighting of the tree ceremony by Mayor Rodriguez.
All right. Man, I hate these, I hate this discussion. I hate this topic. I mean, usually it's always a good time and we're planning for Halloween, we're planning for Christmas, and it's always a good discussion. Unfortunately, this time, I'm afraid to throw caution to the wind, and I'm afraid to try to plan for Halloween and lighting of the tree because of where we still are with this silly, stupid coronavirus, who we're all over, I'm sure. But I can't see continuing to plan. I can't see going to our sponsors and asking for donations, and I can't see. I mean, the schools aren't even, in yet. Might schools, the children go back to the classroom soon? Yes, they might, but we've held off this long. We've canceled 4th of July. We've canceled so many things because we have been cautious, and I just can't see lessening our caution at this time and planning to hold these events. So I want to hear from you all, but I think we need to officially cancel Halloween and our lighting of the tree this year, and hopefully start off the new year with a bang and the right way. And those are just my thoughts. I can't, after being so careful and so cautious, all along, I can't with it's with a heavy heart that I'm going to recommend that we don't plan Halloween or lighting of a tree this year. So those are my thoughts, and I want to hear from everyone and get your thoughts on this.
I'll go.
Anyone?
If no one else will.
Go ahead, Vice Mayor.
I don't think there's any other way to do it personally. I think our hands are tied. So there's not really, in my eyes, much to talk about, unfortunately.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Anyone else? Commissioner Blanes?
Yeah, I think that we should, and I'm sure that there's a plan, but what we always do to protect the Halloween trick-or-treaters, I know that we involve our police department. They're out in force that evening. I'm not sure what they call it. They have
Pumpkin Patrol. Pumpkin Patrol.
That Pumpkin Patrol. That's right. Yeah, Pumpkin Patrol, of course. So I just hope that we, do plan on doing that, and protecting, the trick-or-treaters that are going to be out. I don't know how many we will have, but I'm sure that we will have some. So, as long as we protect our residents and our children that day.
Thank you for that, Commissioner. And I agree with you, but I don't think we're going to have that many children. I don't think parents are going to be comfortable enough yet to let their children go door to door. I know everyone is still, scared of this, and rightly so, and we should be, and cautious. So I have a feeling we're not going to have that many trick-or-treaters out. The manager and I have been tossing around an idea, and I see her hand up, and whereas I was kind of shying away from it, after we talked about it, I slept on it for many nights, and I gave it a lot of thought, and I was going to kind of shy away from it, but I think I would like her to present the idea to you and see what your thoughts are, because I'm still on the fence with it. So, Madam Manager, I'm going to yield to you, and this goes along with what you were saying, Commissioner. I mean, you know, we're going to cancel these events, but I feel so bad for these children that, you know, poor things, they haven't been able to do anything, you know, they haven't been able to go to school. They haven't been able to go to friends' birthday parties. You know, they have had to stay inside, and, you know, parks are still closed, and, you know, the closing of the parks. And so these poor things, they deserve so much more right now. And then that's why the city manager and I were tossing around this idea. I'm gonna let her present to you, and I want to see what you all think about it. So go ahead, Madam Manager.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And yes, this is one of those that you gotta sleep on. But the mayor and I were talking over the last few weeks about the possibility of having a drive-by Halloween. You know that these drive-by celebrations have become the alternative to in-person parties and gatherings and events. While we have no idea what the expectations for attendance are, it'll allow the children a few minutes at least to get out. If we can decorate maybe the front of the recreation center, which I think would be the most suitable location because of the street and the way that the police department can structure the traffic, is to maybe have between 6 and 8 p.m. a very early drive-by where we would provide the child candy in a bag. And we've been looking at options online. Gadi, my assistant, has been looking at the little trick-or-treat bags, the reflective bags, and candy. And while we are in the mode of saving money, we've been doing everything under the sun to protect the community at large. But the kids are being, the kids have been, and I don't want to use the word punish because nobody planned for this, but they have been unable to, as you say, Madam Mayor, to socially interact, to have recreational activities or attend any type of event. So we were tossing the idea of maybe buying candy and decorating the front of the park with some of our spooky stuff from last year, and have staff and of course the members of the commission and the administration go there and, you know, give the kids 2 hours of a little bit of a pleasant time, if you would. I know that there are cities that are going to do something with Halloween eventually, because I can't imagine that some of our municipalities who have been involved in this food giveaway programs and everything would not do something for the smaller children that have as well been affected emotionally, physically, and many other ways. And they've had to adapt and adjust, as the clerk would say, to a new situation. So I would ask you to entertain this, because I would not want to leave our community behind in something like this. I know that some other cities are planning, pumpkin patch opportunities, and along those lines, you know, we have, you know, we want, I know all of us want to give back in some fashion. And anyways, it's just out there for your consideration.
Thank you, Madam Manager. And I know I want to just add, and again, thank the PD. You know, you all know, and Commissioner Blanes, you were out there with me on many of them. You know, we did the police birthday patrol, where we would, where we would go to the child's house, and, you know, with the sirens and wish them happy birthday. And the children, they loved that. And, you know, we did it obviously as, you know, safely as possible. So along the same lines, you know, this would be done very safely with the police department involvement. Whoever's out there handing out the bags to the car, you know, through the window, would obviously be masked, and not just with a Halloween mask, but with, you know, the CDC required mask as well. So yeah, I mean, you know, I kept thinking about it when the manager told me, and I was, you know, back and forth. And I don't know. What do you all think? I think it'd be a great thing, but I do have my reservation. So what do you all think? Talk to me. Let me know. Chief, go ahead.
I would only say that it's far ahead enough. Well, maybe we should wait to see what the county decides to do on this. They may very well go ahead and cancel trick-or-treating completely because of this COVID situation. So.
That's a good point, Chief. That's a good point.
Are we gonna go ahead and do something that's gonna make the citizens feel like, no, that's in the county, over here in the city, yeah, we can do trick or treat because we're doing an event. I would just throw that out there. We don't know what the county's gonna do. The mayor in the county changes sometimes within a couple of days. Something's kept closed and then all of a sudden he opens it up and then it's closed again. I would just maybe wait a little while.
Good, very good point. Commissioner Blanes, I thought I saw your hand up. Unmute yourself, unmute.
No, I'm in agreement with the chief. You know, that would be like putting the cart in front of the bull. And I think the attorney's been dying to say something.
Yeah, so he's next.
He's got something else.
Okay.
Same train of thought.
Thank you. And I'll come back to you, Commissioner, if you have anything else. Mr. Attorney, go ahead.
Yes, again, the wind have been taken out of my sail by the chief. That's what I was going to suggest and talk about. I would respectfully suggest that I know that there have been a lot of drive-bys and food distributed and so on and so forth, but we don't want to run the risk of anybody accusing the city of West Miami to be the transmitter of any sickness. So anybody that handles food or will handle candies or whatever, be priorly tested so we can have a background and a documentation that we're not going to be the cause of transmitting of any disease to anybody. So whoever handles those candies, if we do that, to be tested prior to do that, so we're sure that we're not going to have any transmission of any disease.
Thank you, Mr. Attorney. Vice Mayor, go ahead.
All right, so I heard the chief, I heard the attorney, I heard Commissioner Blanes. I kind of agree with all of them. I think it's a good idea. We've seen the drive-throughs, the drive-by distributions, they work. There's a way to do it safely. I agree with the attorney, you know, just be overcautious with it. But I think it's, and of course with the chief, if we can wait off a little while, see what they're kind of thinking. But, you know, the planning on this is not massive. I think we can wait a little bit, but I think it's a good idea to do something for the kids, something simple like that. Even I'm in favor of the concept going forward. So I guess we'll see what happens.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. So Madam Manager, sounds like a consensus. We all like the idea. Obviously, we'll wait to see what the county says or does. As we get closer, then we can talk about it again. Because all we'd have to do is order the candy and the bags. Other than that, the decorating, I'm sure Mr. Penna can take care of that in a couple of days, you know, a few days ahead. So let's we'll talk about it again as we get closer. You have something, Madam Manager? Go ahead.
Yes, I do actually. Maria Diaz is just sent me a text message. She's listening to the discussion and she's unable to raise her hand on the Zoom meeting, but she says that if we wait, then we can't do anything. And she and I agree with her statement. She doesn't see how anybody is going to be knocking on doors this year because people are going to be inclined not to opening the doors, and that would be disheartening for a child if they knock on somebody's door and you know they just don't get the reception on the other end. And that's why, Madam Mayor, you and I were talking about this. I think if we concentrated and have something for the kids. And of course, we will wait a little longer, but we thought that it was important, and planning takes time. And as little as a project that is, it may be, we would have to devote staff to the decorations. We have to have a plan for traffic. The chief needs a plan for the officers, and we need a plan to purchase all the candies and do all the orders and put in our assembly line here to work with the candies. Now, if we don't use the candies because the restrictions are not lifted, there's always the Easter egg hunt, which I really hope that this year we're able to make a big comeback with that event. So, and it's not too far down the road, you know, we're talking maximum 6 months away. So hopefully things will be a lot better. But if you would like, we can continue to have this on the agenda. We could talk about it next week. You have a special meeting to deal with the budget, and we could look at what restrictions, if they're easing off on restrictions. As you know, there's a new emergency order that has been issued by Miami-Dade County Mayor. I'll be sending you copies, which basically lessens the restrictions. Now will allow some softball and baseball activities and the use of restrooms at parks, and with conditions, of course. So, you know, as we go along and hopefully these numbers continue to decline with positive COVID cases, we will see somewhat of a return to normalcy. But I just wanted to put this out there, Mayor. After our conversation, I felt it was important to bring it out in the open and talk about it.
Yes, agreed. And let's do this. We're going to have a meeting October 7, right? We have October 7 is a regular commission meeting, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Let's do this. And yes, Dade schools reopening will definitely have a huge effect on this as well. Let's put this back on the agenda for discussion for the 7th. Madam Manager, that should give us more than enough time if we are going to proceed in doing so. I mean, candy can be ordered, you know, very quickly online now.
Sure, sure.
So let's put it back on the agenda for the 7th for this possible discussion of having this drive-by trick-or-treat event. But I still want to, I think at this time, if there is no objection, I will be officially canceling our annual Halloween event and our annual lighting of the tree event. I want to close that book at this meeting, but leave that discussion open for the next one. So if there's no objection to me canceling the annual Halloween event and the annual lighting of the tree event, I see no objection to that, and we already discussed it. So, Madam Clerk, this is officially, with a heavy heart, canceling those two city events for this year. Okay, and put the drive-by trick-or-treating on the next agenda. Anyone else have anything to say on this item? And Maria, thank you for your input on this item as well. If there's no other comments or discussion on item G, Madam Clerk, if you read the next item.
Yes, item 11H, conversation regarding the rephasing of in-person city commission meetings or virtual meetings by Mayor Rodriguez.
Thank you. And this too, the manager and I have had many discussions on this. No one knows how long the governor will be allowing virtual meetings. The county is, you know, we're already moving into a different phase, and many restrictions will be lifted or are going to be lifted. So I don't know. I don't know when we will be allowed to have in-person meetings again, but I think it's time to start discussing how we're going to do that. And remember, we can always be stricter or more strict than the county. So, and the state. So if and when the governor allows in-person meetings again and the county allows it, you know, we have to decide what we want to do. So I just wanted to open up the conversation on this so that it doesn't, you know, hit us by surprise and then we're not ready. We haven't talked about it. So I just want to open up to the table for discussion on our thoughts and our plans about how and if we'll do this. Madam Manager, I know you and I have discussed it, so I'll let you start the discussion and have your input on this.
And again, Madam Mayor, we're talking now about phasing in our parks and recreation for after-school care. I'm sorry, but I can't hear you. I heard you at the beginning.
we're on item H, the virtual, in-person commission
Oh,
meetings and
the
virtual
virtual
meetings.
meetings. I'm so
Yes,
sorry.
yes.
I caught a piece of it and then you dropped out. Okay, the virtual meetings. We have an order, a standing order by the governor's office that will hold until October 1st. Now, some cities are discussing some options without making any major modifications to their chambers to have a combination of virtual and in-person meetings, provided that people who plan to attend or who wish to attend in-person meetings would have to be social distanced, 6 feet of separation, and wearing a mask. Now, I know that our chambers does not provide for that that spacing, if you would, in the dais. There is separation between the commissioners, but I don't believe that it measures 6 feet. However, I don't know whether Mr. Pena can work his miracles and try to put in a setting upstairs if you want to start considering what your options are. If Mr. Pena can provide us with maybe a schematic drawing of how we could conceivably set up using social distancing and wearing masks, and provided that we have all the proper signage either there or move our commission meeting to another venue and hold it via Zoom virtually at the same time for those people who have weak immune systems or health issues that they don't want to compromise. And so we need to respect them, but make our meetings available to them at the same time when the time comes. And I want to say we could also think about holding the meetings at the community center or at the recreation center, whatever venue the commission decides. We could maybe come up with a plan of action. I think the chambers is not suitable because of the spacing, but perhaps the community center is probably something we can consider, and it'll leave the meetings at City Hall because the community center is part of our municipal office building. Juan, can you chime in there in terms of spacing? Can we do this if if the orders are lifted or modified?
We would basically have to create a plastic glass enclosure around the commission table in order to separate the commissioners. As far as the audience, there's always spacing to be able to separate the audience in the benches, but the commissioners will be the biggest issue.
Right, and I do know that some cities are now putting partitions, plexiglass partitions in between commissioners for consideration for live meetings, or in-person meetings, if you would. What about the possibility of moving it to the community center? Is there spacing for a table with 6 feet social distancing and the wearing of masks, of course?
I have a quick question.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
Will these partitionings that we're speaking about, if they are put up, will we still have to wear masks?
Good
Yes.
question.
Yes,
Because you know what?
they have no roof.
I'm not gonna wear a mask. So if we're gonna have partitions and then wear a mask, why in the heck are we even considering this? I mean, it's
Well,
ridiculous.
it's just a discussion.
Totally
It's just a discussion. Just a discussion. And Commissioner, I have to tell you, we've been doing fine with Zoom.
Yeah,
And that's why I said, even I preface this discussion by saying, even if the governor, says we can have in-person meetings, and even if the county says we can have in-person meetings, we don't have to. It's up to us. We can continue with Zoom. And
Right.
I don't want a partition between us. I'm sorry, that's a physical division. I don't want, we've come together, we've worked together so well that even visually, I don't want us divided. So I am inclined to say we continue with our virtual meetings until we can go back 1000% to the way we used to be. That's mine. This is why I had to open it up to the table, because I wanted to hear what you all thought. Vice Mayor, I think you had your hand up.
Yeah, kind of on the same line. I'm not a huge fan of Zoom meetings, but I think it's working. And I've seen some of the attempts to do these hybrid meetings where you have like some in person and it still has to be streamed online because you can't allow audience. And it's been a little pointless. So I agree with my colleagues. I don't think we're at a point yet where it's necessary. We're gonna have those
Thank
features
you.
that we have to, yeah.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I am in complete agreement with you. And moving it downstairs, Mr. Q would have to go through all kinds jump through all kinds of hoops. Remember, we had to have it downstairs because of the asbestos upstairs.
Asbestos.
And he had to set up and then he had to take it down, and that was a huge project. So I can't imagine doing this again over and over and over again. I'm fine with Zoom. It's worked well. So,
And, Madam Mayor, that there's going to be early voting here sometime starting. I know the clerk will probably give you a report on that, but sometime after mid-October, we have to prepare the center for early voting.
There you go. Another reason.
Yeah.
Another reason. Commissioner Blanca, did you have anything you want to say on this?
We should keep it the way we are doing it now.
Perfect. Thank you. Well, it looks like it's you. The city attorney is coming back in. I think he was disconnected. Let me admit the city attorney back in to see if he has anything to say on this. Mr. Attorney, while you were gone, it's unanimous. We all think that we should continue with our Zoom meetings and not even attempt when it's allowed to start with in-person meetings. Zoom's been working very well for us. So I want to get your thoughts on that, sir. Mr. Attorney, go ahead.
I just lost my Comcast connection, so I'm connecting through the telephone. So
You're
I
back.
did not
I see you.
think that I had left the meeting. Okay.
That's okay. We saw you, and we were just discussing what our thoughts on whether when in-person meetings were going to be allowed again. Were we ready to do that? Putting in place all the restrictions and the things that would need to be done, and we all feel that we would rather continue with Zoom and not have to go through all the restrictions that will be necessary for in-person meetings. So when the time comes, we'll discuss it again. But for right now, we are all on the same page on that.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. And
Mr. Villalobos, Madam Mayor, if I may, does the city need to develop some kind of legislation to continue on Zoom after the governor decides to lessen the restrictions? Should we have something in place that will qualify the Zoom meetings as our official meeting platform, if you would, until it's reevaluated?
Well, first of all, I have to see what the governor has to say, and if we can, in fact, go beyond the governor's order. So therefore, I need to research that and see what the governor's order says. But I believe that this will be by way of resolution and not an ordinance, since an ordinance will be permanently in the book. So we can have a resolution non-pro-tonque to the date that we decide to have the meeting. But nevertheless, I think that this is very wise. I think that the reason that the pandemic is back on track is because people have forgotten that this, in fact, is very serious and it can affect the health, safety, and welfare of everybody. So I believe that the mayor is and the decision and your decision is very wise.
Thank you, sir. Yes, I cannot see lessening, being less cautious now. Now is not the time to be less cautious. Now is the time to stay the course, and I'm glad that that we all agree on that. So that will be up for discussion at some point down the road. Next, I believe next item, Madam Clerk.
Yes, item 12, consent agenda items, none today. Item 13, good of the order.
Anyone or anything for good of the order? As always, I want to thank you all. We've all learned to maneuver Zoom. We've all learned everything virtual. I want to thank every single one of you, all the departments, for everything you've done to get us where we are today, get us through this. We're not at the end of the road yet, so let's keep forging forward, keep being cautious, keep being safe. And yes, I am looking forward to when the time comes and we can do it safely, to being all in the same room again. I do miss all of you, so I'm looking forward to that whenever it is. Anybody else for good of the order? Okay, I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye. What was that, Vice Mayor? What was that, Vice Mayor?
We didn't need it, but second.
I have a first and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, and the meeting is adjourned. Everyone have a great rest of the day.
Thank you.